Critics have been skeptical right from me myself. They don't believe I should be the one who is talking to you because I'm just a ghetto youth. I've just been in these political engagements for just 4 years. I'm a ghetto youth. They look at me as a Muyai, so they believe that I shouldn't be the Kyagulanyi. It should be another Kyagulanyi. However, I did not show up to represent just the intellectuals. I showed up to represent everybody. You know, I'm one of the least expected. Now that people gave me opportunity to articulate issues, I believe everybody deserves opportunity. I wonder why anybody in their right senses would listen to Museveni. Nobody in their right senses should listen to Museveni. Of course, he never means what he says and never says what he means. And that has not started today. It started way in the 70s. I mean, this is the same Museveni that celebrated the mass murder of people. It's the same Museveni that tapped on the shoulders, on the backs of his soldiers after deploying them to massacre people. This is the same Museveni that ordered his son, that empowered his son to kill people. I summoned our parliamentary team and asked them about the same. And yes, like our team has said, some of our MPs actually, told us that they had received that money. It was not even paid on the accounts of the members of parliament. Members of parliament were called to Anita Among's house. Now, Anita Among is supposed to be the Speaker of Parliament, but they were called to Anita Among's house. You know, many of them were told, oh, come in this guy's way, put on a hat, put on a mask, come on a border, etc. And they went there. Now, these are members of parliament. Of course, I'm not going to name them. They gave us this information. So we sat as a team, and I told my members of parliament what I'm telling the world now. And I always tell them what I say in closed doors is what I share with our with the population, with our voters, because part of our core values is transparency. That's how we keep our integrity. So, you know, we discussed and we agreed that it was immoral. Those that had received that money told us they had been tricked. However, we agreed, all agreed, it was not an order for me. We agreed that this is immoral. This does not represent our values. This is anti-people. And for those that had received that money, we agreed that they had to tell our members of parliament that, I mean, this is between them and the people. I've been out of the country. I'm yet to follow up on that. But I will say that this is a moral question. This is a moral question that at the end of the day goes between the people that they represent and the members of parliament. As a leader, I can only show the way, but I cannot drag everybody along the way. At the end of the day, like we've been saying, we are servant leaders and we are accountable to our people. But we've been encouraging the population not to leave it to us, to hold us accountable, all of us, to hold their leaders accountable and question them. When they were trying to change the constitution, we told the population, task your member of parliament, visit your member of parliament, tell them not to touch the constitution. That is when Museveni gave soldiers to every member of parliament to protect them from the voters. Now, I continue to tell the population that hold your MPs accountable. Now, going to the discrimination, it's very, very, very unfortunate. I am speaking here because I am an arts product. You are an arts product. But let's go to General Museveni himself. What did he study? Sciences? Let's go to his wife. What did she study? If she studied anyway. You know, what did she? But she is the Minister for Education. His entire cabinet, what did they study? The reason why they banned political education, the reason why they are trying to alter all Ugandan history to make sure, according to Museveni and the education system in Uganda, Uganda history begins in 1986. The reason why they're trying to change all that is because they don't want leaders to prop up. Dictators all over the world, the Mussolinis, the Hitlers, they've banned political education and arts because arts creates people like me, okay, that are going to give them headache. They'd rather see doctors confined in their hospitals and scientists confined in their libraries, you know. That's why they are trying to clamp down. How do you tell me that one side of the learning system is wrong and therefore unnecessary and therefore should be deliberately disempowered? I disagree with that. I think it's wrong. I think it is against the future of Uganda and it should be stopped as soon as possible. And yes, Mr. Chibalama was compromised by the state, clearly and openly. So that is a state program trying to, delay and derail us. But this is not the first time. This has happened everywhere, but particularly here in Uganda. You see how DP was divided when Museveni had the good DP and the bad DP. You saw what happened to the UPC when he propped up one side against another. And this is what he's trying to do with the NUP. This is a state effort, but it will fail. Because for us, it's not just the name of the party. It is the people. Our budget is not in line with the needs that we have. Quick example, agriculture has been and continues to be our sustainability. How much money was allocated to the agriculture sector? Around 500-something billion. So the budget, like I said, is not prepared to benefit the people of Uganda, but to benefit General Museveni and ensure that he holds the commodity prices started shooting up way before November 2021, way before the war on Ukraine. So I disagree. There is certainly something that can be done. Cut wasteful spending. Cut wasteful spending. Let us use our money where it benefits our people. Why spend $1 trillion, on yourself? Cut wasteful spending. And we also proposed, a few proposals. I addressed the nation recently. I'll refer you to that because I wouldn't want to spend most of this interview because we are largely touching this and that. But I'll refer you to my communication. Let the government shine a light on the fuel prices. One, split it into three because government can take control in that. There's a cost of price of a litre of fuel on our borders. I would say it's probably 2,800 or thereabout. There is the tax that's levied on it, and then there's that gap of profit, and altogether it builds the cost of petroleum. Now, the Commissioner for Petroleum Supplies can rein in and control and make and say, okay, this is the cost of a litre of fuel by the time it gets to our borders. This is the tax that is on the fuel per litre. And then, guys, this should be the gap of profit. And there, the population can be cushioned. Unfortunately, the regulator, who probably has the same name as many that are controlling, it's the same group, it's a cabal. These are the same people regulating and the same people in the fuel business. So they will not regulate, because they want to have a large profit margin. And that profit margin is the problem. Kenya, for example, Kenya goes as far as the Arab countries to negotiate a good price for their people. Uganda had the highest cost of fuel, still has the highest cost of fuel in the East African region. Why? Because for us, we are seen as abateja. In South Africa, they call them abateja. We are seen as people that are manipulatable, and the more we're kept in the dark, is the more they manipulate us. So the fuel cost has continued to go high. But food is a problem for us who live in urban areas. For the people living in the ghetto, food is a problem. People survive on the chapati. You understand? They survive on Rolex, on Chikomando, but the cost of wheat is through the roof. The cost of the crude vegetable oil is through the roof. We propose that they scrap taxes on crude vegetable oil and on wheat. And of course, there are questions. Okay, now if we just remove the taxes on crude vegetable oil and wheat, how do we patch up those holes? I want to send a message to the teachers. When the doctors were protesting you were quiet. When the borders are protesting, you're quiet. When these ones are protesting, you're quiet. Now it's your time. Soon it will be on the artists. The other day it will be on... I mean, all of us are in trouble. We are under occupation. The people that are ruling over us, they don't care whatsoever. They're just prolonging their rule over our country. Every day that they get is an additional day. Every day that they get is an additional day. So we are on our own. The one and only solution to our problems is removing dictator Museveni. Uganda's problem is one. It is Museveni and his family. They look at us as a farm. They look at us as property. And until we remove those people, we shall continue suffering. Okay, we have to remove Museveni to be okay. This, if we don't do, everything else is just a symptom. We'll just be touching this and touching that and touching the other. But at the end of the day, we are being ruled by a tyrant that does not care, that looks at us as his farm. So it won't help us to just cry and cry and cry. Let's get together and make sure that we break this dictatorship. That is the only way you teachers are going to live in dignity and do your job in dignity. This is the only way you journalists are going to do your job in dignity. Otherwise, they will continue beating you up for covering things that you're supposed to cover, etc., etc. So Ugandans, the only solution is to stop the Museveni dictatorship, to return power to the people, so that leaders be there deliberating in the benefit of the people. As for Museveni, he sits down with his family over dinner and discusses Uganda. Okay. And then imposes that on the parliament, which puppet kind of parliament will just rubber stamp that and will live in circles.